As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. And this one was interesting. They said the question was here, which esports team's fans are most likely to, okay, ... And it's the percentage of a team's fans who agree with each statement. This is 18 plus. So they asked which esports team's fans are most likely to care about where products they buy are made. Interestingly enough, 81% of Team Liquid's fans agree with that statement. In other words, they care about where products they buy are made. You compare that with, on the other end, TSM, where only 70% care. Still both quite high. Closer was which esports team's fans are most likely to often snack between meals. There, if you look at all of the teams, all the major teams, fans of all of these teams seem to often snack between meals. You go from a high of 80% with Cloud9 to 75% for TSM. Also interesting, I found in both of these, TSM and like there are teams that always seem to appear at opposite ends of the spectrum, like Cloud9 and TSM, and two of these appear at opposite ends of the spectrum, basically. And that probably says a lot about their fans, right? That their fans are homogeneous in some way to a certain team and distinct from another team's fans. So the third one here, which esports team's fans are most likely to give up their bank account for cryptocurrency? Here, a bigger delta between the top one and the bottom one. Again, TSM at the top, 63%. C9, only 44%. TSM response and FTX sponsorship. Was this data known before the deal? That's an actually really interesting point. But like, look how... I wonder if that was part of FTX's thinking, right? If they use this data to say... The TSM fans are most likely to adopt crypto, so let's go after them most aggressively, versus C9, where they're considerably less likely, significantly less likely to give up their bank account for crypto. I mean, Jimmy, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Great question. I don't know whether it's more interesting if they did use this data and it was like that's why they picked TSM, or if this is after this has come out and it's sort of like the fans of TSM now know about the sponsorship, so they're more comfortable with crypto. Either way, it's like good on FTX and great data from YouGov. It's either the data drove the decision, which is obviously awesome, or the sponsorship is really working, which is arguably even better. So
the data confirmed the ROI, right? The data confirmed that there's a tangible effect.
Because I'm not sure when this was when this data was captured either. We should ask YouGov, and I'm not sure if they're clients of YouGov, as they clearly should be with this type of actionable intel. But that Jeff makes, nothing to add to Jeff's great point.
I was going to ask you, Jimmy, if you knew what the date of this study was, but I don't have it. And let me just touch on the last one here. Which esports teams fans are most likely to believe sports need to be more inclusive? Interesting, TSM at the bottom of that list, and again, pretty far from Evil Geniuses at the top. Correct me if I'm wrong. Evil Geniuses Canadian, right? Esports team? Are they Canadian?
I believe they're. Isn't their CEO a female as well? So maybe
that's true. Actually, I think you're right.
I don't know what
you're the Canadian
that says either, but it's interesting.
I thought it was the duty of Canadians to know which of their actors and sports and companies were from. I did a quick Google search and it said it's from British Columbia.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so Canadian and female-led team. Again, the data sort of backing up the intangibles there. I wanted to. Sorry. I'm looking at this other one here. Let me bring up a second one here. I have another good one here. This is brand rankers. So this is looking at correlation basically between certain brands and followers of Rocket League specifically, which I thought was interesting. And so what they did was the target definition says, which, if any, of the following esports games franchises do you watch or follow? Right? That's how they got US Rocket League esports followers. And they correlate that with top owned and considered brands. So for example, if you look at Rocket League followers in the US, they're far more likely to be Nike customers than sort of the national average or the national representation here, right? They're far more likely to be Under Armour customers, Adidas customers compared to, again, the average. When you're looking at brands they're considering, again, Nike and Under Armour come out significantly on top. Where the national average becomes closer is things like Levi's, Wrangler at the bottom, where you don't have significantly more Rocket League followers compared to the national average. I don't know if there's anything in here, guys, that stands out to you. I was very impressed because I always thought Rocket League trended a bit younger. Mm-hmm. This is obviously a U.S. adult population, but Nike and Under Armour are big. Like, these are athletic brands. It confirms the affinity between esports and athletic brands, I think. I'm curious what else you guys take away from this.
I'm looking at Fossil personally on both of these current customers and brand considerers. Right on the left, Fossil 1% national versus 21% in Rocket League, and then on the right, the considerers, again, very small national, 7% versus 29% in Rocket League. I just think if I'm Fossil and I'm trying to get the most bang for my buck, I don't have the money like Nike to just slather myself everywhere and just dominate, right? And you really need to convert, or you really need to compete. Put a lot of
Does
money
it
here.
surprise you when you see, like, again, this is very specific. These are followers of Rocket League esports, right?
Yeah.
Does it surprise you that these brands don't target more specifically when you see data this conclusive, right? And you pointed out Fossil, Jimmy, but I could look at Timberland, Champion, right, where there's a huge delta between the national average and Rocket League esports followers. But I think the general conclusion is also followers of Rocket League esports are an incredibly valuable demographic to be going after and massively untapped, it feels like. Mm-hmm. William, I don't know if you had thoughts on that.
I mean,
you compete in Rocket League, right?
Yes. Yeah. I believe so. Yeah, OXG does. But I mean, my thought on this is more the criticism leveled against esports is the consumer doesn't monetize, right? That's often one of the arguments against the space today. This looks like the consumer monetizes crazily. Look at that left-hand side, right?
Yeah.
So yes, this could just be Rocket League is an amazing game, right? But maybe this is also saying, hey, something's changing with the esports customer. They do spend if they're targeted correctly, or they do spend along certain psychographic lines.
True. It's a good point. Ramsey had a good question here. Do they compare these to traditional sports fans or the general public? I wonder if there are any regional factors in play here. I'm sure they have a demographic profile for each team. Ramsey, that's an excellent question. I know, and Jimmy, maybe you can back me up on this. I know they are able to get more granular even than what I showed you there. So like they are able to pull, I'm pretty sure, not just esports fans of those teams, but esports fans of those teams in specific regions, and suss out those very subtle differences. I don't have access to that data in front of me right now, but that is absolutely something, if you're looking, that YouGov can do.
I had the privilege of a walkthrough to see the software that they use to capture, or rather to display the data that they capture from all of their market research reports. And it pretty much depends on, I suppose, what we're presenting, I suppose, is what they've shown us, the reports that they put out that they think are newsworthy or headline grabbing, ones that are relevant to their clients. But to that same extent, if you are a client of theirs, you can ask for, like Paul said, some incredibly nuanced information, where if you wanted something particular to a specific region or to a specific esport, or a comparison across, brands that aren't on this list that you're trying to acquire as a sponsor and you're a team, or you are that sponsor and you're trying to learn more about your own appeal in esports, it's tremendous, the specificity that you can actually narrow down on their reports in the portal that I saw. We're at a slight disadvantage because we're just kind of sharing, I think, information that's been shared with us, really just as a taste, honestly, right, to how deep this can really go and how insightful it is.
Yeah, Ramsey. And so happy to connect you, by the way, if you're interested, if you're looking for something specific, reach out to me or Jimmy or the folks at YouGov. Again, the amount of granularity you can get is astounding. Robert says yes from BC. Okay, cool. Yeah, they are a Canadian team. Christian says, doesn't this show an overlapping audience? Are Rocket League followers more active or sport loving since we see those brands in those space? I think that's a logical conclusion to draw, that they're consumers that spend money, and they clearly like these activewear kind of brands. I mean, I wouldn't put Fossil or like Timberland in activewear, but maybe they do. But clearly, there is some correlation there.